Welcome to Meet, Act, and Part, a Masonic podcast hosted by Midnight Freemasons Greg Knott, Darin Larners, Todd Creason, and Bill Hostler. The views, opinions and experiences that are expressed by the hosts or guests as individual Freemasons do not reflect the official position of any Grand Lodge, appendant body, or Masonic authority to which the hosts or guests belong. And now on with the show.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Meet, Act, and Part. It's summer 2023. Hope you're doing well. And first thing, as always, we'll introduce ourselves. I'm one of your co-hosts, Greg Knott.
I'm Bill Hostler.
And I'm Darin Larners.
And I'm going to let Darin lead tonight. We've got some special guests that he recently met. And so, Darin, I'm going to let you introduce them and go from there.
All right. I'm going to introduce Worshipful Brother Jon Hinthorne, and Toby, I forget your last name, so I apologize. You're going to have to introduce yourself.
Hi, Toby Reed.
Hi, Toby. Again, wonderful to see you, both of you brothers. So I met Jon and Toby on my honeymoon. My wife and I were in Salem, Massachusetts, and I just happened to be taking pictures of the Masonic building, and out step two very well-dressed gentlemen, and I knew them immedately that they had to be Masons, especially due to the cigar that Toby was smoking. So he's still working on it. Huh? Jon told me briefly about a wonderful project, I guess is the best way or program to describe it, called the Projectdelta, and it's named after his mother lodge, which is Delta Lodge. And what's the number, Jon? I'm sorry.
In Massachusetts, we do not have...
Oh, you don't have numbers.
No.
Okay, so it's just Delta Lodge, and that's that. Got ya. All right, so Delta Lodge in Massachusetts, and I'll let Jon and Toby kind of introduce themselves, give us their Masonic bios quickly, and then we'll discuss what Projectdelta is, what it's all about, and why it's, I think, beneficial for every lodge to think about starting and using this program. So, Jon, Toby, please take it away.
Well, thank you very much for asking us to be on. It was absolutely a pleasure to meet you that night. So my name is Jon Hinthorne. I'm a 3-time past master of Delta. And with me is Worshipful Toby Reed.
Hi, everybody. I'm Toby Reed. I'm a 3-time past master. First time was over 30 years ago. But I love Masonry, and this Projectdelta is something that's really good for Masons, and it's a Masonic love. What we do...
Hold on, they're going to get to it.
Okay.
Well, Toby likes to jump right into the meat of it.
We have a good time doing it.
So that's us.
All right. So I guess why don't you tell us a little bit about how Projectdelta got started, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. So one thing that Delta is trying to do is get back out into the town, into the community, as happens all too often. Lodges kind of drift away from it. So I have a 14-year-old special needs son who's, he's 14 now, but a few years ago, he had this infatuation with the claw machine that you see at, Walmart, Target, the supermarket, whatever. And after hundreds and hundreds of hard-earned dollars, he became quite the little master of it. And I found us with... quite honestly, an overbearing amount of stuffed animals that we didn't know what to do with. So in speaking with my wife, we decided, okay, well, we're going to drop them off to the local police department and see if they want any of them. And they were ever so excited to get them. And one of the officers that we knew had said, you know what, we're going to take them, we're going to put them in each of the patrol cars. Because as it turns out, a lot of the officers, fire departments, EMS, and even hospitals, as I found out, purchased these things with their own money. And that's when the light bulb went off. And I looked at my wife and I said, Jesus, we got 22,000 members in this, state alone. I'm sure we could do something with it. So I designed, the logo, and I sat on it for a few months waiting till I get out of the East so I could have some time. I have to tell you, the outpouring of support for it thus far has been absolutely and utterly amazing to us. When I was putting the first bags together, I think I was putting like 50 of them together, and a few of the local police departments heard. So Worshipful Reed, one night in rehearsal, got up, left, went to Walmart, and came back with 176 stuffed animals, and they all went out the door in these kits. And today, now we launched it January 24th here at Delta. Now, I chose the name Delta because Delta in and of itself means change. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to change unfortunate situations for these kids. And to date, as of January 24th of this year, as of today, I've given out 278. Now, each kit consists of a bag with the logo on it and a reflective stripe, for easy eye identification in the cars. And each kit has, on average, 5 to 6 stuffed bears, unicorns, whatever it is that we're able to get. We've actually got it now to be able to go down to a specific bear. Just the outpouring of donations that we get, whether it's financial or it's actual bears or bags that people will send, has just been staggering to us. And it's something that we're grateful for. And unfortunately, there's a need for it, and we hope that the project takes off, but we just hope there's never a need for it. I did a little bit of a deep dive when I did the initial rollout, and if you'll indulge me just a quick minute. In 2020, 139,000 kids were involved in motor vehicle accidents. So that's an average of 380 kids a day. Now, those kids are defined as 14 years old and below. And that information came from the NHTSA. One that's a little more of a tug on the heartstrings is 1 out of 15 kids are exposed to domestic violence, while 90% witness it firsthand. In Massachusetts alone, last year, over 20,000 calls were made to mass law enforcement agencies. So by my math, that equates to about 1,200 to 1,300 kids that were involved in those calls. And no kid should have to witness that, despite, whatever the issue is. And as I found out from departments that I've dealt with, a lot of times a female officer will respond, for that whole maternal instinct sort of a thing. And, they're always trying to find some way to keep the kids occupied and deter them from whatever's going on. And I have not had one officer, fireman, firewoman, policewoman, EMS, hospital, whatever, that has, denied this gift, which makes us feel really, 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 really good. I should mention, at this point, I don't speak for Grand Lodge or for Delta. I speak for myself. But, it's something that I've enjoyed doing over the past 5 or coming up on 6 months now. And I don't see it slowing down. We've had kits go out. We sent one to you guys out in the Midwest. We have them that have gone to departments out in Colorado, North Carolina. I know we have some going to Connecticut. And ultimately, I would love to see this be synonymous with Freemasonry, as I always say, why should the shrine have, all the fun, right?
Well, I mean, it's a great idea. I mean, I know that I've known for some time that this is a thing that, between domestic violence, car accidents, and even like if someone's house burned down and the kid's standing outside crying, thinking about all of his possessions that are gone, at least he has a teddy bear that he can cuddle, at least temporarily, until he gets back on, the family gets back on the feet. But I was wondering, I don't know, back in the good old days, Massachusetts used to also have a Masonic Angels Fund. Is that still around?
We do. I believe each and every lodge has it individually, as I understand it. Again, I speak for myself. I know we do here, but that's generally, allocates things for other types of things.
And I just noticed that Massachusetts Masons tend to have a lot of interesting ideas to help, the public, and not only themselves. Also, there was a brother I got contacted on my blog about a year ago, where he was a Shriner, I think at Aleppo, and that one of their motorcycle riders was involved in a terrible car accident. And all this guy wanted to do, I mean, he's laid up for like almost a year or two. And all this guy wanted was brethren from all over the United States and the world to send lapel pins to this brother. And so they were going to mount it up there and let him know that Masons around the world are thinking of them. And so, I mean, you guys have got a great tradition for this, and I hope it really does continue on and grow even more, as I know a lot of departments would probably love to have something like this.
Yeah, I mean, as we're finding each department, it's not so much the department that's involved as it is the specific officers or, again, firefighters or EMS, so.
And honestly, that makes it better, in my opinion, because that's directly from that officer or that first responder themselves. They don't have to have a department with their PR people and all that trying to orchestrate this. It's actually from the heart, I guess you would say.
Right. And, that's kind of the idea behind it. I haven't come across any department yet that has said, well, it's got to go through us. Because, again, a lot of these first responders are out buying these things themselves, and I think a lot of people don't understand that, and again, let's face facts, anytime you have to interact with a first responder, it's generally not for a good reason,
Absolutely.
Well, John, I just going to say what an outstanding program. I think, Freemasonry, and John, you alluded to this, is sort of sometimes becomes insular. In other words, we look at ourselves within the four walls of our building, and it's sort of like talking to ourselves and all this, but you've just done an amazing thing here to outreach, to not only help the kids, but to connect the community to the lodge. And this is exactly what we need to be doing all over the country, these kinds of projects to put Freemasonry back into, the mind of the public. We've been off the radar for so long, and just the fact that you can do this and touch the life of a young person and help them in, sometimes their most traumatic time in their young lives, I think just speaks, one, to the heart you and Toby and the others in Delta have, but just, the compassion and things that we need to show today, especially in this time and era in our society when there's so much anxiety in young people and the population in general. I just think this is just an amazing gift and a service that can just help bring a little bit of a bright light to that person that one day. So I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for what you're doing. And I'm just so impressed. But I guess my question is then, building off that, how do you think in the community, I assume, like you said, it's been well received. What's been the reaction, say, of other lodges or others that have become familiar with the project? Are there other lodges going to emulate what you're doing?
Absolutely. And on that note, Worshipful Reed is tugging at my sleeve. I believe he would like to add to that, if I may. He's kind of the guy that goes around to other lodges and kind of pokes the bear, so to speak. So if you guys don't mind, I'd like to have Toby answer that.
No, absolutely.
Hi, brethren. I go around to different lodges, and I bring a kit. We make it consists of a backpack that can be used in an emergency if a child needs something to stash their goodies in to go off to another environment. But every lodge I bring this to, and every police officer I discuss this with, they are all enthusiastic, and it's kind of like I'm Father Christmas. And when I bring these kits around, gosh, they want a bunch to go to their town. And I say, whoa, wait a minute. You ought to share in the fun that we have. We sit around like a sewing circle. We'll get a bunch of bears from a wholesaler, and we clip off all the unnecessary tags on them, check them for button eyes, which can be bitten off by children. So we watch that, make sure that the toy is safe for them. And It takes us a while, but one guy will be doing the bags. Jon has a hot press that he puts the decals onto the backpack, and we'll get a stack of bags and a stack of this kind of beer and that kind of beer. And sometimes we usually do is put in a gigantic bear. The other ones are about 8-inch or less bears. We don't want things that are 22 inches high or the size of a child. We want a small bear or stuffed animal, if you will, that the child can actually hold, and we tell them to name their own bear. Now, the one on the logo, his name is Boots Bear.
Boots the bear.
And the kids are free to have their own little friend at the time that they need one. But all the officers, these crusty, hardened, I won't say embittered, but I will say well-seasoned guys that are used to handling people who are not quite so nice. And even as gruff and rough and tumble as they are, their hearts just break when they see this kit that they can hand out to little ones who need it.
Yeah.
All of the lodges, the guys love this project. And I say, all you have to do, get on to Amazon. Now, I'm a tightwad, not like the rest of you Masons that are so gentle, but I go and look around, where is there a sale? And I'll go down to a Walmart and talk to the manager, and I'll say, gee, at the end of the Valentine season, at the end of the Easter season, at the end of Christmas, if you've got any of these things left over, what kind of a deal can we make? I'll buy them. I explain what I'm doing, and they are most enthusiastic. So you get a bunch of bears. We provide, if we have to, we can provide the bags that the bears go into.
Yeah, so what we've been doing with a lot of these lodges, we just provide the bag with the logo on it, and they get their own stuff to fill. Now, to a point, to Toby's point, we do get a lot of like the bigger bears, and if we hear of a child in the community that's maybe ill, we'll take one of the bigger bears, put it in a bag, and we'll send it along, to the house for the boy, girl, whatever. Pretty much everything gets used. And we're at the point, like I said now, where we're just basically making bags, and we ship the bags off to, whomever wants to get their own items. And it's just grown so fast, like we've had to change directions, 3 or 4 times with it. When we saw Darin, we were dropping off 30 that were going to an ambulance company that wanted one kit for each rig, and which is great. And as Toby said, there's a bunch of grown men in that room, and they're all taking the bags out, and they're all playing with the bears, and you can kind of see the melt a little bit. That also makes us feel good because we know, we're in the right zone, we're in the right crowd for it. But that's the plan. Oh, yes, we had a district deputy that just loved the idea, and he's the one that we dropped off 32 that night. So, there's a lot of orders. I think right now in Massachusetts, I would have to get onto my computer, which, as we learned from me trying to log on to this thing, isn't cooperating. But I think they're in something like 37 or 38 departments in Massachusetts now, which is pretty good. That encompasses about 10% of the towns in Mass. I think there's 360, give or take. So it's just off to a great, great start, and super happy to have it go the way that it, has. We named the bear Boots Bear. That's on the bag because my nickname for my son when he was born is Boots. I don't know why. It just came out and it stuck, and I figure in honor of him, because this whole thing was based around, him, that was a good way to honor that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Jon, have you given any thought to like approaching the since they're headquartered there in Lexington, the Scottish Rite, the Northern Masonic jurisdiction of the Scottish Rite, and seeing about my thought being, they already, at least Northern Masonic jurisdiction, runs dyslexia centers for children with reading problems. Maybe getting some of their backing to help roll this out, maybe at least to the states and the valleys that have that are under the NMJ.
No, that's absolutely a great idea. A lot of the district deputies that are on board with this, and a lot of the members also belong to the right. So to be honest, I haven't heard anything from them, but that's actually a great idea and something I can look into. As I said, right now, the way this thing is starting to grow, it's not getting away from me. But at every turn, at every day, I get an email or I get a call or I get a text, So I think it's just a matter of time before this thing spreads. The way this thing really, really, really took off was I was at a cigar event, and with the junior grand warden, and the grand master was there, past junior grand warden, and then next thing you know, I'm talking to the guy that's the editor of the Travel magazine, which is our, yes, the thing that comes out every 3 months there. And, next thing you know, I get a phone call because he says, I'm going to put a little ad in it for you. This is great. And I'm sitting there looking through it, or so I thought. And I said, oh, well, you know what? Maybe it'll be in the next one. Well, an hour later, my phone rings, and it's one of the brethren from the lodge saying, hey, did you see the magazine? And I says, yeah. I said, we didn't get in it. Maybe it'll be next month. He goes, what one are you looking at? He goes, turn it over. And I looked at the back page, and we had the entire back page, and it just exploded from there. So it was an unbelievably amazing thing. I'm a fifth generation Mason, fourth in this lodge. And I'd like to thank, my dad and my grandfather, my great grandfather are, pleased with it. Of course, they're not here with us anymore, but I would like to think, wherever they are, they're pleased.
I'm sure they are. Greg or Bill, what else do you have? You have any other questions for Jon or Toby?
No, Jon, Toby, I just want to say thank you for what you're doing. Not only just for the kids, but you're creating some excitement in the lodge. I can hear it in your voices. And so many times that's what we lack in Blue Lodge, is getting behind that fun project that we know is going to make a difference. And you guys just struck, the gold mine, I think, with this idea. I think the beauty of it is it's so simple, yet you can do so much with it. I think that's what's cool about it, is administratively, it's not very hard. You've got your little system down, you go get your supplies, and you go out and make a difference. And I think that's the beauty of your idea and other ideas that lodges can emulate. So again, I just want to close with giving you my thanks and best wishes for how you're doing.
Thank you. It's very, very humbling,
Our hope is that you guys out there where you are will take up this torch and push it along. And if you need any help, we're here. But I'm sure you guys can do the same thing in your own area. Do you think you can? Are you guys up to it?
Oh, absolutely, Toby. In fact,
right.
I'll tell you that, and I discussed with Jon, I had brought the kit to one of the lodges I belong to, where I'm, again, worshipful master for a second consecutive year. Homer Lodge number 199 in the small little town of Homer, Illinois, here in East Central Illinois. And the brothers just thought it was just an amazing idea, fantastic idea. So I'm sure going to start, we have one of our members is a volunteer firefighter there at their department, so he's going to talk to them and see, what their needs are, and then I'm going to be in touch with Jon to get some bags, and we're going to do what we can do to help spread it here in East Central Illinois.
Excellent. That means the world to us here. It's just a great thing. Thank you.
Subscribe to the idea that everything kind of happens for a reason. So I think there's, purpose for me meeting you, and hopefully with the article I wrote for the Midnight Freemasons blog, and also with the podcast, that we can get the word out and spread the program to every jurisdiction here in the States, and I mean, honestly, overseas. I think the sky's the limit for this, to be honest with you. So I
Well,
guess John.
oop,
Go ahead, John.
sorry. I do know, there were other, I can't say organizations or groups, but there were other factors, I guess, that were out doing this and providing them, but I just don't think that they had the legs to make it work. I mean, as I said, in Massachusetts, we have over 22,000 Masons. That's a lot of ground that we can cover. And throughout every other jurisdiction going, I mean, it's, like you said, the sky's the limit,
Yeah, my hope personally is that we've got several charities here that are Grand Lodge affiliated charities, but one of them is the Illinois Masonic Children's Assistance Program, and I think this is right in their wheelhouse. And I communicated to our Grand Master, and he's going to discuss it with them. So my hope is that they will, help me carry the torch. But if they don't, we'll go it alone, and we'll make it happen. You've got 27,000. We at last count had around 40,000 Masons here in Illinois. So, that's a lot of real estate we can also cover here as well. So, I think, John, it just an awesome idea to come up with this. And as you have said, every person, every Mason, honestly, a Mason or non-Mason I've discussed this with, just think it's an amazing thing that you're doing. And like I said, the hope here is that we'll carry the torch for you and spread it. And also the hope is that this podcast will reach other jurisdictions and people get in contact with you, and we can, spread it to them as well.
Excellent. Thank you. So I do have one other back story to this.
Mm-hmm.
The woman that created my first logo sticker, because now we do everything here. We do it all in house. I print them here. I heat press them on to the bags here. We do everything here. But the very, very first bag, the woman told me that her daughter, when she was 13 years old, was struck by a car. And the police officer just happened to have a stuffed animal in the car, and he gave it to her. And that stuffed animal, that bear, stayed with that child on the side of the road till the ambulance came, through the help that she received from EMS, through triage at the hospital, through her stay in the hospital, and through her rehab at home. 17 years later, the girl is 30 years old now. She still has that bear. So this is the type of impact that it can have. And, let's not disregard the effect that it can have on the first responders. Because let's face facts, right? These guys have, men, women have a thankless job. They see people at their worst. Okay. And if they can help, put a smile on a child's face in a very dark time, that has to make them feel good, right? So,
yeah, I mean, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And, to Greg's point as well, it's exactly, I agree 100% with Greg, is exactly what we need to be doing in our communities to be getting our name out, because who knows, whose life this could touch, essentially maybe the next, I don't know, Albert Pike or Mackey or some future Masonic scholar will become a Mason just because of a bear that was given to him by a first responder. And he saw that bag with the square and compass and decided he wanted to be part of that. So, I mean, the impact that you're having is, indelible, I think, to not only the future, as you said, of these people, at the example of this young lady who kept the bear and, and still has it, and she's in her early 30s, but also to those that may, not know anything about Freemasonry, or, maybe just even the random act of giving a bear to somebody's child gets another guy in the lodge because he's like, that's an awesome thing. I want to be a part of this. So what, just the I don't like to use the word advertising, but guerrilla marketing, I guess we could call it, that you're doing, I think is going to have an impact down the line, and I think that's another obviously additional benefit, not to take away from the comfort that these are going to provide a child that's traumatized, but that it'll also, again, it's doing what we preach, which is brotherly love. And I think a lot of brothers think that our brotherly love should only extend to other Masons. And in fact, at least here in Illinois, our ritual pretty much makes it clear that brotherly love should be to everyone, that we should live kind of the golden rule. So I just, like I said, John, I think you and Toby and the other brothers there are doing just great work, and I'm just feel really blessed to get to know both of you and get to meet both of you and get to be part of this. So I thank you for what you're doing.
Well, thank you, and thank you. It was great to meet you guys, and I appreciate the opportunity for all this. And you never know, we may come out and just drop in. I have family out there, and
you're more than welcome, John. You let me know, and even if we're not meeting, we'll get you a degree or meeting, and we'll hook up. So I'd be more than that would be awesome to be able to sit in lodge with you or sit through in a degree with you and get to know you better. So
can you motivate your brethren out there to do something similar to what we're doing?
Well, that's
that's what I am doing that, Toby. We're gonna do that here, and I'm gonna try to find somebody exactly like you to do some of the heavy lifting and pay. Oh, well, I figure that's they probably broke the mold, but as I said, somebody hopefully like him that can pound the pavement and get things done. So I think it's awesome what you guys are doing, and I can't express my personal gratitude for what I think it's the impact that I know that it's already having and the impact that's to come. So Greg or Bill, do you have any final thoughts before we close up here?
No, again, just appreciate you guys being on. And hope to see you sometime in Illinois, or Darin
sure.
and I may venture back out to Massachusetts sometimes. That's a beautiful state.
Open. Am I able to put the email out there in case anybody would like to reach out with?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna put your contact info in our show notes, but you go ahead and give it right now, and that way they'll have it multiple ways.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It's Projectdelta, one word, at deltalodgeafam.org. And that goes right to me.
So there you go. If you're interested in getting involved with doing Projectdelta and helping bring it to your lodge and or jurisdiction, please email John, and he will get you started. And who knows, maybe Toby will show up at your lodge with some bears. You never know. You never know, it seems. So
he'll be the guy with the hat and the stogie.
Yeah, that he's the same stogie that he was smoking when I met him, I'm sure. But.
Yeah, I think he's been smoking that one for 32 years now.
We have a saying here in Boston from the 50s, and the saying is wicked pissa. And it has nothing to do with going to the bathroom. It's just something that's really excellent. So from the East Coast, we say to you, wicked pissa.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you telling me what that meant, because I saw it on many shirts out there, and I had heard it before, but I had no idea what it meant. So
just means it's really excellent.
It's good to know that it's pretty much just another way to say awesome, and we'll leave it at that. So, John, Toby, again, a pleasure. To our listeners, thanks for listening to this episode of Meet, Act, and Part. Again, if you want to inquire about Projectdelta, you can reach John at the email he gave. It'll be in the show notes, or you can reach me as well. Message our website, and I'll get you in touch with them. So again, for Bill and Greg, I will say thanks again for listening to this episode of Meet, Act, and Part. And please think about supporting us on Patreon if you should be so inclined. And I wish you all a pleasant evening, and we will see you soon.
Thank you for listening to Meet, Act, and Part. For more information about our show, visit our website at www.meetactandpart.com. While there, please consider supporting the show by sponsoring us on Patreon. Until we meet again, may we meet, act and part.